Good morning, everybody. All right. My name is Samantha Mirabal. I'm with Melco's application team, and we're doing our Design Shop Talk today to answer whatever questions you might have. We have very few questions today,
Good
so
morning,
if you
everybody.
have any that
My name is
are
Samantha
on your
Mirabal.
mind,
Be
Melco's
sure to type
application
them in
team, and we're doing
in
our
the
Design Shop
comments,
Talk
so
today.
I'll review them.
We
We
answer
do
whatever
stream
questions
this live
you
on
might
both
have.
Facebook
We have
and YouTube.
very few questions
And
today,
I'll
so
be
if
checking the
you
comments on my
have
second
any
monitor
that
over here.
my name is
are
Samantha
on your
Mirabal.
phones.
Be
Be
sure
sure
to
to
type
type
them
them
in. We're
in
doing our
the
Design Shop
comments.
Talk.
So
If there's any
I'll
questions
review them.
today,
We
answer
do
whatever
stream this
questions
live
you
on
might
both
have.
Facebook and
So
YouTube.
I will
Very
start
few
off
questions
by
today,
just
so I'll be
answering
checking
the
the comments on my
have
second
any
monitor
that
over here.
my name is
are
Samantha
on your
Mirabal.
phones. Be sure to
So we
type
got a
them in.
few
We're
in
doing
our
our
Design
design
Shop
shop.
Talk. If there's any
I'll
questions,
review
to
this
answer
one.
whatever
Stream
questions
this live
you
on
might
both
have.
Facebook and
I will
YouTube.
start
Now,
off by
I'll be
just
checking
answering
more
the
like the
have
second
any
monitor
that
over here.
on the
My
same
name is
line.
Mirabal.
So we got a few in our Design Shop letter. If there's any questions, to answer whatever questions or anything you have. I will start off by just answering more like the on the same line. So we got a few in our Design Shop letter. If there's any questions, to answer whatever questions or anything you have. I will start off by just answering more like the on the same line. So we got a few in our Design Shop letter. If there's any questions, to answer whatever questions or anything you have. I will start off by just answering more like the on the same line. So we got a few in our Design Shop letter. If there's any questions, to answer whatever questions or anything you have. So I will start off by notice how it more like on the same line. So we got a few first on change letter. There's any questions, to answer whatever questions or anything you have. So I will start off by notice how it more like if I say any, so we got a few. It allows me to change letter. What's wrong with that? So I will start off by notice how it more like is it not working? How's it sound now? Because my mic says it's good. So, okay. Okay, I apologize. It looks like I didn't mute YouTube, so I muted it now. Sorry. All right, well, I guess I should probably back up if my sound was all goofy. All right, I apologize for that. Again, my name is Samantha. If it was 10 of me, that must have been horrific to listen to. All right, so the first question we had was, how do I do this, but instead of having the pound sign up here, how do I get it to go lower without having to do the pound separate? So one way, of course, is to make the pound separate and then move this and place it where you want, but that's no fun. How do we deal with that otherwise? So you see all these little black X's? Each one of those, if I click on it, you'll see it puts a box around the shape. All right, so that is allowing me to move the individual element. But notice if I just left click and drag, it just moves it around the screen. Okay, and it's keeping it straight side to side. Well, if you want it to go up and down, you've got to hold the control key. So I'm going to hold the control key on my keyboard, left click on that, and now I can move this up, down, and all around. So control on the keyboard, left click and drag, put it where you want it, and you are good to go. So now I've got a single element with this placed where I want. Now if I try to move it without holding the control key, notice it's still holding it on that baseline, but it's lower. So if I want to move it again, hold the control key on the keyboard, left click and drag, and that allows you to move things off of the baseline of where it planned for it to go. Okay, so that's how you would do this without creating separate lettering elements. All right, so this one is looking at using an old font. So the octagon font, if you use that, you'll notice on these little end caps, it's putting a line between it. And the question is, how do you get rid of them without converting to a wireframe? With the old fonts, you have to convert to a wireframe. So that's the short answer. But let's go. So I know a lot of people don't know how to use these. So let's go ahead and generate that font just to show you. If I do font, so I'm going to create some lettering. I'm going to come over to monogram, And the one you're specifically looking at is the Octagon font, which, where did it go? That's different. Oh, I think it's 3-letter Octagon. Yeah, 3-letter Octagon. All right. T. Okay, so if I create my lettering, and then over here, if I look at the code sheet, you'll see all those numbers. Those are what are going to select the end caps or above caps, however you want to look at them. It's the flare that's going to put it on the font. So we want number 1. So I'm going to put a number 1 on here. Apply OK. You'll see now I've got a font, but it is doing that jump stitch between this. So I know in previous weeks we've said, well, how do we make those end caps a different color? Well, just like we did with moving things around by selecting those X's, I can also change the colors. So these 3 X's are for the letters. This one right here is for the end caps. If I select it, now I can give it another color. Now that jump stitch, this is an old font. There's no way to get rid of it short of converting it to wireframe. Now with the new fonts, they're not there to begin with, but all these old fonts, unless they were redone in V11, those jump stitches, the only way to get rid of them is to convert to wireframe. Okay. All right, let's see, what else do we have? Do we have any typed in yet, other than me not knowing how to use the mute button? No. All right. Let's see, what else do we have? So this one, it sounded like a few people had some questions on how to deal with this. So how do you set puff settings, ActiFeed, and TBS values, and stops for application pause, etc. in DesignShop without doing it through the OS? All right. So what I have, again, I brought up my machine. So typically how you would set it up is, like if you had a file, when you're setting it up here, this is where you would say, okay, color 1, color 2, color 3, and color 3 is going to be puff, apply, or you would tell it to be standard, whatever. You would adjust it as it's sewing. You would add your holds here. Okay, so let's say if I were setting this up that way, not that this is a puff file, but you know, that's typically what you would do. Now, if you want to set it up rather than in OS, you wanted to do it in DesignShop, how do you do that? All right, well, I'm going to, let's just create that same file, Sam. All right, so I created this. I'm just going to change colors just so we have color changes in here. All right, so if I go Tools, this is in DesignShop. So Tools, Melco OS Settings. From here, you can set up the settings that you want this file to run at. Okay, if you want it to run fast as ever, or let's say you want it to run slower, or you want to go ahead and set the color sequence. So let's say I want needle 4, then needle 5, hold, and then needle 10. Okay, so let's say I want to do that. Now keep in mind, that means when I load the settings on the OS side, I'm going to have to choose these. I'm going to have to make sure needle 4, 11, and 10 are threaded with the colors, the correct colors. Okay, so I can do that. If I want to change my, for each individual color, you would come down here for settings by color and turn that on. So yes, you can set the color sequence. I can also say settings by color. And let's say color 1, I'm okay sewing fast. With my lower limit, let's say I want that to be 5. Let's say my color 2, let's make that so, I'm just doing something drastic so you guys see a difference. Say I'm going to set it to that, and let's say color 3. Again, I'm going to sew a little bit faster, and maybe let's make this one 20. And maybe I want to turn off bobbin detection for that particular one. Okay, so once you do whatever settings you want for the particular colors, you can come over here, and I'm going to go save it. All right, so if I go to my machine, now I'm going to go load that file. And I gotta wait for Dropbox to sync. Sorry. There it is. Alright, so there's the file I just created. I'm gonna load that. And I didn't center it, so I'm gonna center it. Then right here, see this button? Load machine settings. If I do that, look what happened. Needle 4, 11, and 10, it has the hold. And if I come over to settings by color, notice all the settings are different based on the color. Okay, so that's how you would do it. You would just come into DesignShop and go Tools, OS Settings, set up whatever you want for that file, save it. When you go to the OS over here, just remember to click this button, and that will load the settings of whatever was saved in the file. Okay? All right, let's see, what else? I don't see any, oh, there's one. Is there an easy way to make a sports ball into a heart shape? Not really. Let's see, how would I do that? Cancel, new file, let's go grab a sports ball. There's some in here somewhere. Okay, so I've got a ball, and then I'm gonna go get a shape. Where, maybe here? Where's the hearts? There's a heart. Yeah, I'd probably do it like this. So I would probably just put the shape that I want it to be and then modify all these to kind of fit along there. So if I want it to fit in there rather than going through and scaling all this, I just delete what's outside of the shape. I guess you could also do transform outline, but that's not going to make it a true heart. You still are going to have to modify it. So I can cut off all these things and make them extend to the heart, and then just apply the properties of this fill to the heart. So if I take that one, double click on it, come over here to copy settings, then I'm going to select the heart, paste settings, make it that color. Yeah, we can do it that way. I'll leave that one, delete that one, delete the circle, shift. Okay, what did I do just right there? Because that's a little trick. Select the shape, hold your shift key down, and then click on this guy here, the single line center, and that'll give it a border. So I can make that one black. Left click and drag it below all this stuff. So I still have a little bit of cleanup work to do on my stitching, but now I kind of have a baseball shaped part. I don't like it. I would change it by rotating these stitches. So you can see how I do digitizing. I kind of just move stuff, you know, play with it until it looks good to me. And once I like it, then I call it good enough. Ooh, let's move this one. Maybe down here. Getting there. And then I'd move these points. So you can, what am I doing here? I'm doing it relatively quick, but you can see it's not that hard. It's just a matter of playing with it until you like it. I don't like that. Anyway, I would just redraw that line. Alright, so now you guys get to see me playing. That's better. There. Now I gotta add some tick marks and clean this. Alright. So I'm nearly done. So that didn't take long. What? Maybe a minute or two? And all I gotta finish is cleaning this up some, and then it would at least be something that was quickly generated without a lot of effort, and it'll sew pretty good too. Probably the only other thing worth playing with on this is going through and making sure all the that the pathing is right. Okay. Uh-oh. Any other questions? I don't see any on YouTube. And do we have more on Facebook? Nope. All right. So those were all the questions that I was given. I know it's, it's summertime, so everyone's taking vacations and having fun with the kids being off. I know I've got my 3 little monsters downstairs. Hi, Kiyomi on YouTube. Welcome. If you have any questions, please type them in, because all my pre-canned ones are done. The ones that I was given ahead of time. So if there's something else you want to look at or go over, I'd be happy to do that. Otherwise, it might just be a short day. So I guess I could play with this baseball a little bit more. But, ooh, Lorena in Alaska, 80 degrees. That's awesome. I think it is 80 something here. 82, so it's the same. Enjoy the nice warm weather, I guess, for y'all. For me, it's nice and cool here at 82. Any other questions now that I'm just talking to myself? I don't see any. So I guess I will call it a day. And next week, I'm going to probably do it on Thursday, because Friday I'm going to be on a plane out of town. Can DS Vector do applique? Let's see. Honestly, I have a really hard time keeping together what the different versions do. All right. So let me save this, save as heart baseball. Okay. So let's go over to tools, security. You guys can't do this. I can. So I'm going to change it to vector. Okay, yes. Fine. Close. No. Reopen DesignShop, and that will put me back in to, now I'm in vector. All right, so do applique. Okay, so the applique tool is not readily available within DesignShop Vector. What can you do to create an applique? You can still do it. It's just, rather than having that tool that's built in that kind of does the heavy lifting for you, you have to do it yourself. So what does that mean? Well, what I would do is start by drawing the end shape. I work a little bit backwards at times. It's kind of whatever strikes my fancy. So let's say that's the shape I want to do as an applique. All right, so start, stop. I made this as a fill. Do we want it as a fill? No, we want it as applique. So what can I do about that? So to make an applique, we need a placement, we need a tack down, something to secure it like a zigzag, and then a cover stitch. So I'm basically going to copy and paste this a whole lot. So if I select that, I'm going to hold my control key down and click on the walk. That doesn't work anymore. That's no fun. The shift. Looks like they fixed that. All right. So all those buttons are gone. Okay. So what does that mean? It means you're gonna have to draw it yourself. All right. So to do it, I'm going to trace it with a walk. Badly. All right. So I got my walk stitch. That's going to be my placement. Come on. I want it to close though. I forgot. There we go. All right. So I've got a placement. And then I can copy and paste that, give it a different color change, and that will be my, what is that? That's going to be my tack down. Now I need to trace it again, but this time as a single line center. I'm tracing poorly. I apologize. Typically what you would really want to do is do this a little slower and zoom in, and it will be cleaner than the mess I'm currently making. Okay. And again, I forgot to close the shape, so I'm going to go add a point, close it over here, and let's go into the properties, take off auto density, and let's make this 17. There we go. And then let's make it a little bit wider. Okay, so there's my zigzag to hold it down. So I've got a placement, a tack down, a zigzag to hold the fabric in place. I can then duplicate this, change the density back to something more reasonable, make this a little wider, and now I have a cover stitch. So I just created an applique manually rather than doing it built in as part of a tool. So you can still do it. It just takes, more clicks than you would if you had Pro. Okay, what else do we have? So yes, you can do applique, it's just not built in. Another question was asked on YouTube, how would you apply a color blend that's on a red line, like on the red line of my baseball? All right, so I'm going to go change this back to Pro. Apply, okay, close, because again, that's something you guys can't do. I just do it so I can have the different levels since I can't keep track. All right, so if I want to do a blend on a satin, they're not exactly, I'll just show you how I would do it. All right, so let's say I want that to be orange, and I'm going to do like a yellow blend over it. So I'm going to copy and paste that. Now that it's copied, I can go into the let's change it to yellow. And then let's do properties. And under effects, I'm going to turn on custom density. And I'm going to turn off the underlay because the underlay is going to mess it up and I don't want that. All right. And what you can see is it's denser over here, it's lighter over here, and what that's going to do is give you that kind of blend effect. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have? So the question, copy, paste, and change, that is a level dependent feature. Why I was looking for it is because it's here in Pro. It's not an option, it's something that's not in Vector. So with that applique example that I was just doing, if I were to do that same thing, okay, so take my shape, in Pro I can select that shape, hold Control, click on that, and now I have that same shape is now a walk. I can then copy, paste, give it a new color, copy, paste, hold the Control key down, click on this, change that to tackle, and then I can copy, paste, change that to satin, and make it wider. So you can see I can do a manual applique super fast in Pro just by using that change element from. So that Control and Shift trick, that is this button right here. Change element from one type to another. It allows me to quickly change from a complex to a walk or to a satin. Whatever it is you want, you can change it around. So it's part of DesignShop Professional. It's not included in Vector. All right. How do you get an extended warranty on a machine? So to get an extended warranty, you want to talk to your salesperson. If you have Bravo, you would talk to the Bravo dealers or to Gary, who runs the Bravo program within Melco, and they can get you hooked up. But basically how it works is once your warranty is extended, you would purchase the warranty. They would come out, a tech would come out, do a PCI inspection. It usually comes with something else. Depending on which warranty you buy, it might come with parts and things like that. Once they do the inspection, you're under warranty and you're good to go. Okay. Are there different blend patterns is another one. So the blend patterns, I don't quite know how to answer that. Yes, there are. So if I go into properties here, under effects, you can do whatever you want with it. So I can apply different blends, and you notice it'll go from dense to not dense, and you can move them around like this. All right. I can also drag this around and create my own. So I'm going to change this to auto apply. Notice as I add left clicks or right clicks and then move them around, it changes how it blends along there. Now I will tell you, blending on satins like this is interesting. You're always going to have to test it out and see how it runs. But you know, you can change it to whatever you want. You can change these, you can reverse the pattern. You can add multiple colors. So if I turn on that blend and then give it a separate color, now I have a 3-color blend, the original color and then the 2 that I just created. So there's a lot of variability just in playing with it. Okay, so one of the things that I always like doing when messing with blends is to turn on this auto apply. And then I usually start by making wild changes so that I can see how things are being affected. Okay. There's another question. Duplicate and copy are not the same thing here. Yes, they are. Duplicate is just a one-step shop, right? So if I say duplicate, it's going to copy and paste all in one step. If I copy, so Control C, now I have to paste it. So that's 2 steps. So it's the same. It ends up creating the same thing. Copy just puts it in your clipboard, and so if I do Control C or right click copy, it doesn't duplicate the shape. So it doesn't put it back in here until I paste. So if I do Control V, now it's there again. Whereas if I just duplicate it, notice that did copy and paste all in one operation. What is that? Go away. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have? Scanning through the comments just to make sure I didn't miss something. So when do I use duplicate versus copy? Copy I typically use when I want it to stay in the clipboard so that I can paste it in multiple files or keep on pasting it over and over and moving them around. That's when I'll use copy. Duplicate when I just want the same thing now. All right. But honestly, it doesn't matter. You can use either. Same end result. All right. Let's see. Facebook back there. Anything else? I don't see any. I talked about the warranty. We talked about blends. Okay. Any other questions before I call it a day? If not, I've got one more. I'll be back next week, and then I'm going to be in Utah for a week, and then I'll be back at it. I'm going to hike some of the national parks. That'll be fun. A little vacation. All right. Well, you guys have a fantastic week. I will be back next week, and then we'll have a week off unless one of the other guys are going to do it for y'all. Short of that, you guys have fun embroidering. Write down any questions you might have so you can remember to ask them next time. All right. I will talk to you next week. Bye all.